funny sound Tui's making.
That's there's a small kid in me.
I know, man. I know.
No, we thought that was you, Tui.
Yeah, that's
This is Tui's rap debut. He's about to freestyle for everybody. Hold on to your seats. Here we go.
37 watching, 39 watching. Numbers are going up. Maybe they think something's going to happen soon. Tomorrow should be an interesting day.
we're on, and
I'll do the music fade out. I think we're good to go. So hello, everybody. I'm Dan Lutz. I'm here with Stefan Rowe and Tui Loma Loma from Fiji. And we're here on Dank Live. We've just been chatting just before going live, and excited about tomorrow and the great happenings. How's it going, Tank?
Wonderful, Dan. Wonderful.
Yeah. Tui muted himself, so I think he'll let us talk for a bit and then jump in. Or okay, he's unmuted. No, he's muted again. He's unmuted.
sorry, just just want to say hi to everyone on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today in this now. Before we discuss more, and thank you so much for everyone in the future listening in. It's good to be here. Much love and blessing from Fiji. Thank you so much, Tank, and thank you so much, Dan. Thank you so much, everyone. We're ready to discuss, the what's going to happen today, tomorrow, at this point, this time. Thank you. Much love and blessing from Fiji.
Awesome. All right, so Tank, you got any update for us? So we'll just roll right into it.
I would say I don't have an update I can share at this time. There is, updated status with stuff, but not much I can talk about right now.
That's okay. Yeah, it's fine. It's good that we know that there's not an update to start off with, but we are excited about tomorrow, and Tui has made his plans, but I was talking with Tui just before you came on. I had covered Ashtar Command.
Ashtar Command. I haven't heard of them in a while. What did that say?
Well, the guys from Edge of Wonder had done a piece on Ashtar Command. I never followed it, so I've heard of it, right? And I heard of the Galactic Federation, but I never knew where all this conversation came from. And now I know, and where it came from in the first inceptions, of course. And then one of the people in the chat room was saying, "Oh, well, it actually goes back earlier than that." Right? So, again, it's all information. We don't know about everything, but according to the Edge of Wonder guys, it started about in 1952 with a broadcast and some interruption of a broadcast. And after that, it had, several different lives. And was it, the cabal behind it, from the beginning? Or did Ashtar Command actually happen, that he actually, do the interruption of the broadcast and try to come in and, help out? And then the cabal, change the message and try and manipulate it. Where is it all? or was it all fake? So anyway, they were just kind of digging in, and it was good that I didn't have to do research. They did research and brought that up because I have heard about it for a long time, but at least now I have some context of why it's around and when it started.
Yeah, I think there is truth to Ashtar Command. I don't know who's running it now. I mean, their messages are always very interesting and generally kind and seem but I mean I guess that's kind of their MO, right? The cabal too. So it's hard to say. They basically take everything that's beautiful and pure about humanity, take it over and pervert it and monetize it, right? So that's unfortunate, but that's a reality. So I am fascinated that Mexico sent 15,000 troops down to the Guatemalan border.
Yeah,
I mean,
and 15 north and 15 south.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
Yeah, no, they did both. They sent, I think actually it's 16,000 to the south and 15,000 to the north.
Oh, wow. Well, that's great.
So that would seem like Mexico's pretty serious at that point, right?
And our ally, I like that. Hey.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said, okay, well, start the sanctions. So I mean, the tariffs, start the tariffs. And the tariffs would have been devastating to Mexico. I said, oh, okay, we're done with this game. So everyone is jumping ship from the cabal, right, from the deep state.
That's I hope that is true everywhere. I'm very actively watching every single piece of information that leaks out, and it definitely appears that way. Definitely appears like there's a shift, right? That's
right.
Can change the world. This is I really think it's important to put all of our personal energy towards the reality is that our collective consciousness has held this in place, and it is our collective consciousness that can change it as well. It only takes a few. Takes a few. If we can reach a few hundred and we all agree, look, we're changing the world now. We're done waiting. If I hear one more person tell me patience, like I was looking at these virtues.
Patience is a virtue, and it's a sign of a good moral being.
Both of those words are psyops. All the virtues are complete psyops. They're all designed to get you to wait until you die. Like wait for your savior, wait for this, wait. They're temperance, right? Like get used to being moderate and humble because you're not going to have much in this life, but in the next life you will, right? And then they trick you into a soul trap. You come back down, you're in this life again. So
we got you again. All you got to do now is wait.
Right. No, you just be patient. Just be patient. Don't be patient. You should not be patient. Do not wait for anything.
Yeah, unless you're sick and going to the doctor.
Mm-hmm. So, interesting news in New York. They have a bill on the floor now to try to make it so if you do not get the new MMR vaccine, which I would argue is going to be the most potent sterilization machine ever made, that they'll take this MMR if you don't get it for your kids, right? That they are going to actually put the parents in concentration camps in New York State. So,
well, that is the word of the week, right? Concentration camps, right? This is AOC talking about concentration camps down on the border. Oh, by the way, we have them in New York in case you don't want to get vaccines. We're going to lock you up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're definitely stepping this up to for a reason. I mean, what sense does it make, right, for them to literally push this so hard at this time? Is it that they have no option? They have to go full speed ahead with their plans, but this would have been what there was happening if Hillary was in the office.
That is correct. Dan, did I get you the 10 stages of genocide?
No.
I'm going to send it to you right now. You can throw it up. In the meantime, I'm going to read through these because one at a time, because you and I are going to have a blast right now. Not a blast, but we're going to talk about how these are all happening. So these are the 10 stages of genocide. Number 1 is classification. People are divided into us and them, right? So let's think about this. What do we have, us and them? So you have racial divides, right, that are completely fabricated. You have Republicans and Democrats. You have religious divides, right? Like all these scared. So it's us and them, and everyone's sectioned off into groups, which makes all of us very weak, right? Number two is symbolization. People are forced to identify themselves, and every single person at birth gets a social security number, right? Which is very similar to what they did during the Holocaust when they tattooed numbers on the prisoners, right? They identified themselves. So when you're born, they say, okay, Caucasian baby born to, Harold and Hank Eves, and you are, blonde hair, blue eyes, uh, Caucasian, 7 pounds, right? And all of your medical records are recorded data, right? You identify yourselves. They know exactly who you are, what your background is. The next one is discrimination. People begin to face systematic discrimination.
Right, based upon their symbolization.
What does that mean?
Well, you've been identified, so you have to be identified so that you can be discriminated against. You're in this classification, or us and them. Then you're symbolized, right? So how do you identify who you're going to be, targeting for the discrimination unless you already have been symbolized?
Exactly. So that's why, like Tui said, everybody in the U.S. has to have a color, right? So we're all color coded, right? And all these different ways you have, you're a Republican, you're a Democrat, you're a Christian, you're Jewish, you're Muslim, right? All these different ways they identify us now they discriminate against that, right? And then that group cries out how they're being discriminated against, right? And then the people on the ground aren't necessarily discriminating against anybody, right? But they now feel the guilt and the shame of those who are actually doing that. But this one is the most powerful to me, is dehumanization, right? So people equated with animals, vermin, or diseases. So Dan, where do you think we are most dehumanized? Where do you think it's most common? Or do
Uh,
you think that's even happening?
well, no, it's definitely happening, but there's like so many examples where chattel, where is one of the, but it's more in the in crowd that know about the birth certificate entities, right? So we're chattel. That would be one, like cattle. That would be one. Um, well, how about the sexes, right? But would it be would we be under animal, vegetable, or mineral then, or I mean, a disease or an animal, um, vermin?
I'll tell you. I'm going to give you. This is the secret, and I bet you no one even realizes this, right? Or most people don't even realize this. The way that every single person has been dehumanized is by Western medicine, and here's how: they do not treat people; they treat disease. Everything in Western medicine is based on the treatment of disease, and they treat the disease to maintain its lifespan, right? So they tell you once you have diabetes, there is no cure. So now we're going to treat the disease. We're going to treat you for cancer. We're going to treat you for AIDS.
Right.
They're treating the disease. So what they've done now is they've made you and the disease one and the same, right? That's why they even have terms like I am a diabetic, right? Like you don't like even if you're an alcoholic, right? You're never allowed to stop being an alcoholic. Forever you're an alcoholic is what they say, right? I'm an alcoholic. I got to deal with it, right? They make you admit
Right.
it and confess it. All these things are
Now you
methodology,
are the disease.
right? You are the disease. So you are dehumanized because humans have the ability to overcome impossible odds, to learn, to grow, to change. But they dehumanize you by telling you don't have that ability. You're always an alcoholic, so you can never have another drink for the rest of your life, right? You're always a diabetic, even if your numbers align. You're always going to have to do this, right? And then they give you medication, which actually, it superpowers one molecule and it causes an imbalance in your body, and thus you do, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy, so to speak, right? And then you have a complete degradation of health, and it's really based on pharmaceuticals, on the combination of these drugs interacting in your body, causing all types of other conditions, right?
Right.
Ugh. It's a nightmare. All right, next one in the next one
Organization.
is yes, organization. The government creates specific groups, police, military, or the militarized police force, which are privately owned. That's why they don't have an oath of office to enforce the policies, right? So now police roll up on you for anything, right? Like in the Republic, there's no law in the Constitution that says you have to have a license to drive a car. You can drive a car. You don't need a license. What did you tell me a license is actually?
It's permission to do something that would otherwise be illegal.
So
So
based on that,
if you're a doctor, right, it's illegal to practice medicine unless you're licensed. Right? If you're an electrical engineer and you're dealing with electricity in people's homes, you have to be licensed electrician because they've made it illegal to deal with electricity.
right? So they create all these ways where you have to register and identify yourself. Licenses
Yeah.
are just that. They're a registration system, right? So everything you do, you have to register so you know where you're driving. Where did you get registered at? What are you doing? What are you authorized to do? And then we buy into it because this is the organization or the order, right? This is the organization they've set up. And now we believe, okay, this is mandatory, right? So we have to do these things, right? And then we all buy into it. So now once they get us to buy in that they are the ones organizing everything, then we basically can, everything we do is limited based on our limitations, right? Organization is another way to say you are limited by this, right? Not just do no harm. Because do no harm is more than enough laws all by itself. Just do no harm. You can do whatever you want. Just don't hurt anybody. Like you don't, like just don't hurt anybody. Don't hurt any animals. Steal from people. Anything that's gonna hurt people, that pretty much covers everything, right? But because we put it line by line, now we control you because we can just add a line to that. So under this law, right? Or they could just ignore the laws, right?
Right.
So that all this is happening, right? All this is going on. Then the next one is polarization. The government broadcasts propaganda to turn the populace against the group. Now, in this case, the government is not the republic, though. The government is just the governing body, which has been the corporation.
Deep state, mainstream media, deep state.
Right, which is these extended rich families. And what do? They're constantly promoting false narratives. And I saw this with Google. I couldn't believe this interview with Veritas, man. What she was talking about. Because she said, this woman who's an executive at Google, she said, because they were like, we have to prevent another catastrophe like we had in 2016. So we decided to sculpt. So they were talking about how they sculpt the message, right, to prevent. And it actually says in their training manuals to program the people to think in a way that is best for us, right? So their entire system, Google, is a complete program. So you do a search on something, most people never go past the first page, right? You do a search, first three things come up, that's true, right?
Yeah.
Now, today I did this. I did a search on creating a new type of internet. And I went through 24 pages. And all of a sudden I got an error message that says there is no search that matches, there's no document that matches these terms. I was like, what do you mean there's no document? I just went through 24 pages of documents. No documents, nothing. And they repeated the first page, like the exact same websites, like every fourth page.
Yeah.
I was like,
when I was doing that search, you gave me the NBC story.
Mm-hmm.
I did a story, NBC and Hillary Clinton and one other term, and it said there are no documents. I said, okay, come on. I think it was the Secretary of State. I think that was the three I think I put together. Yeah.
Well, you know what? I actually screenshot it, right? And I'm actually I screenshot the original, I think, or I captured the video, and I can tell you that they changed the date because that just came out. Now it might have come out before, but it just came out again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was all over the place, right? It was all over Twitter, and all of a sudden today I went to search it, and they're like, "Wow, this is old news." So if it's old, what we'll naturally do is we'll dismiss it.
Right.
It's propaganda.
Yeah, they changed it to 2013, was it, or something like that? The new date?
No, I mean it was just like slightly old. It was like I mean there was no. I'm sorry, actually that's not true. There was like three different versions. One was like 2017. One was March 2019. One was 2018. They had three different versions of the same thing. Like, how is this possible? So they just manipulated it. They just changed the data. Because it
Yeah.
fits their rhetoric. Because they don't want anyone to think about that, right? Because that's ridiculous. Because that's a conspiracy theory, right? Or it's just a conspiracy reality. And then oh no, that's polarization. Okay, now there's 10, but number 7, preparation. Now, this is the stage we're in right now. Official action to remove and relocate people. All right.
Yeah.
Now we've been watching this as they've been forcing migration, right? Because forced migration or demographic reconstruction or demographic restructuring is what the UN calls it, right? That's where they force migration. They force everything, so everything's different. You have no attachment to the land anymore. You're not attached to the history or your experiences, right?
Mhm.
And so, but that's one way. But what they're doing right now in New York is they're preparing, right? They're preparing concentration camps for everybody who's catching on. That why are they imposing an MMR vaccine on kids to do, to force them to get these MMR after the same vaccine was tested by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and thousands of people were made infertile and they couldn't have children because of the vaccines.
Yeah.
I mean, what right do they have to do that? I mean, so you
Well,
want to
because
know
they're
how?
smarter than us,
Oh, right, right.
right? You forgot that, right? How
Yeah,
silly of you.
I should have just bowed down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then the next step, right? We're at preparation. The next step is persecution, the beginning of murders, theft of property, and trial massacres. So that's the next step. So we're right there, right? We're right.
Right.
That's how close we are on the door of global genocide, right? And let's face it, none of these things would be even surprising, right? I posted a video of mass murders. They tested it there. They tested how to do it, right? And justifying it. And you can see exactly how they would do this here, right? Now, here's my theory. The MMR is laced with the zombie virus. Just my theory. It's laced with the zombie virus, which is a real virus, which basically causes massive dehydration, just like the case with rabies. Because it causes massive dehydration, it causes the loss of flesh. It's kind of like the flesh-eating bacteria. So because you are losing flesh, it naturally causes you to crave flesh, right? That's why they've been putting that's why they've been putting human meats, right, like actual aborted fetuses in the vaccines, as well as putting human meat in the food, right? So that we already have that, right? Like if our own flesh was deteriorating, we'd crave it. And they did that first by dehumanizing us. Now, if you're identifying people as a disease, right, and we're looking all of a sudden there's a zombie apocalypse, right, because they're forcing everyone to get the MMR.
Right. When you're a zombie, you're a disease.
Right, you are a zombie, right? And then the 10th one is the government denies any responsibility.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing this. Is amazing 10 stages of genocide, but we should remember that there is karma. Now they've built this up, right? And so karma being like a law of physics, it just is. It is the reaction of something. So they've done all this plotting, scheming, and planning of making this 10 stages of genocide move forward. So now let's apply it to them. Classification, us versus them. It's we the people versus the cabal, deep state, mainstream media, the elite bankers, right?
Yep.
We can now step 2, symbolization. So identify them. Well, there we go. The bankers, the heads of the families, the covens, anyone that's basically following these programs. Anyone that watches CNN and MSNBC, we can keep going, right?
Yep.
then discrimination. All right, so then we can begin to discriminate against them systematically. Right, we're moving their tools. They no longer can control the mainstream media. They can no longer control big tech. Right, we have the ability to get take away all the big tech from them in one fell swoop. Where did that come from? Right. Well, it's been brewing. The guy's been doing lawsuits and everything all this time. Dehumanization. Well, these people are equated with animals, vermin, or diseases. I can apply all of those to them.
Yep.
They're reptiles. They're a plague on humanity. They are a disease. They need to be extracted and cut out. Organization. So government creates a specific groups, military to enforce the policies. Space Force. We have Space Force forming. All right, so polarization, government broadcast propaganda, and turn the populace against the group. I don't think that's going to be difficult. Trump just has to Twitter it. Preparation, official action to remove relocate the people. I don't know. I've been talking with you about what exile to an island or off planet.
Yeah.
All right. Then what else? So persecutions, beginning of the murders, theft of property, and trial. Okay, well, the tribunals are underway, but they're on the terrorists, and they've been moving those forward and cleaning house of the deep state operatives to make so that the executions can happen. All right, and then 9, extermination, wholesale extermination of the group. So how do we eliminate the wholesale group of the bankers, the cabal members, the deep state operatives? Right, they're considered not human. And what I've been saying, right, is like they're not acting out human; they're acting separate and part. They've separated themselves from humanity. Right, so they're not considered human. So this is like very obvious. And then denial. Well, I guess there we could admit it. We don't have to deny it. We just admit it and September we eliminated the deep state from the world through this 10 stages of genocide. So what do you think? I think we should continue with the karma of this event and remove the deep state. Continue to treat them as vermin, reptiles.
Yeah. It's awful.
There's a lot to think about, but
I know. I just I don't. I can see how that's that's the plea that they can make later. Like, oh no, I think we can. I think we can do better. I think we can do better, and I think we are better than that, and that we value life of all sorts. They just can't stay here. Um, and they certainly can't be in control, and they can't have any money. Because inevitably, they have lost their privilege and their right to have it. They have a legacy, an upbringing of training their people to do horrible things, their children, abusing them and hurting them, and they do not value the most precious aspect of life, and it's heartbreaking. I got to tell you, man. An old friend of mine, commonly known in the uh, currency world as Buddha, his 12-year-old daughter went in for a surgery and had some kind of complications, and she died today.
Oh,
And
sorry, sad.
And Buddha, he kind of fell away from me when I started working with Kim. But I mean, there's no love lost there. He's just a good man, and I had done nothing but good things. And this is I look at these things, and not to make everything a conspiracy, because I guess things happen, but I just don't see why. I don't see why. I don't see why it happened. It's just it's so hard not to think of it as tactical move, because it's just a kid, man. My sons are 12 years old.
Well, sometimes a rose is just a rose.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, sometimes it's just what it is, and sad things happen, um, you know. But it's the other things are all conspiracies.
Everything else,
Everything
I. But it just speaks to a horribly failing system. You know, we can't, we've got to change the way we're doing things. We just have to. Um, I look at
else.
this. Western medicine is such a debacle, right? That I, you know, they're always talking about how to treat disease. But by the time a disease even shows itself, that your health is already diminished by like 50%. By the time it shows, you could have cancer building in your body. Your body will naturally get rid of it if you're giving your body what it needs. But because we're not even given the opportunity, it's not even a remotely fair fight because they're making it illegal to do things to even protect our health. By the way, I just sent a letter, or I didn't send a letter, but I just wrote a letter today to to New York State. And in this, I challenge the constitutionality of several of the laws that they're trying to pass, that they have passed already, and that they're trying to pass. In New York State, according to the Constitution of New York State, it is legal to own a gun. You don't need a permit at all, right? But but you need a license to carry a pistol, right? But at the end of the day, you think about it, it's like they're making it illegal that anybody can identify you and say that you're extreme or you're dangerous. So then you can't have a gun. Well, who does this? Well, it's the same people that call in anonymously to
Right.
report people to Child Protective Services, right? It's a complete sham. So you think about this, you're hanging on a wing and a prayer constantly because you don't know anybody, any discrepancy you have with somebody could turn into something like that, right?
Well, this is also the same reason why when you start talking about hate crimes, it's basically on somebody's feeling, what people are thinking. You can criminalize it. So someone can think that you're extreme. Now you're a criminal because someone thinks you're extreme. So it just continues on. It has nothing to do with the basis of deeds that are done, right? So once you open that door to people's thoughts and feelings, then it's about what they're going to accuse you of. You thought of something right wrong. We don't like the way you're thinking. It's extreme. So then they can persecute you.
Well, and I look at what happened with this professor who was a conservative professor, very popular professor, and a lawyer at UCLA, and this avalanche disaster of a professor comes in, this enormous woman who just tried to demonize him, right, with these, uber liberal oppositional views, try to portray him as being, something he wasn't, and got him fired. You know, now how is that possible? Right? It's kind of like, how is Maxine Waters an elected official? What is the train wreck, which is California, that Maxine Waters represents you? Are you kidding me? I mean, that woman is absolutely insane. She does nothing but spit venom. She is inciting riots. She is calling for violent action constantly
Yeah.
against the president. She's demanding impeachment. She's calling him names. Where the hell do we live that this woman is allowed to represent you?
Yeah.
Oh
And
my
she
gosh.
represents Watts. The area where the Watts riots were, and she's held that power since then, right? All based around that racial piece, right? And how she keeps being elected, I have no idea. But I know that was where she's from. And all of these politicians in uh, in California. I mean, they've eliminated all of the conservatives, right? Pretty much. I mean, it's systematically they've been aiming and taking them out, and they now it's like if you're against the Democrats there, then they're going to demonize you, right? And then they're going to send you to the camps. It's the whole point, right? Get everyone there. So then California will do it first. But it's the thing is, I do think now it's all breaking down, and I see that we have like Mexico, where we talked about, is now come on the side to stop the immigration flow. And that's significant.
That is
Good.
very significant. I agree, because there has to be some recognition that they are definitely sneaking terrorists and other uh, child traffickers, all types of things into those numbers, right? They're just disguising. I mean, there was a Marine the other day at the border in San Antonio, not San Antonio, or someone down in Texas, who was saying like the borders are completely open to jihadists. That's what he said. That's a term he used. But completely open to people that want to destroy the country. I mean, you have Ilhan Omar, who is, I mean, how is that? How is she an elected official for the United States? Like, at least let them represent us. I mean,
Yeah.
she is openly. There's this Islamic conservative commentator. I think he's out of like Afghanistan or something. He's great, really. He's very smart, and he made one of the best statements. He said he said uh, Ilhan Omar is honest, right? He said she's not pretending to like America. She's very open that she hates it, right? It's like, man, I mean, she never vouches for the country, and she's intelligent, and she's got an arrogance about her when she asks, even when she interviews and asks questions and challenges, and that's what they'll show, like these moments of that, because we associate with that kind of arrogance, right? like remember that show, not The Voice, but I don't know, like something that got talent. It was like Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell
Hmm.
was just an awful son of a bitch. I mean, he was devastating, breaking people's hearts, and it just seemed like he like loved it. And that show was a hit because we liked that somebody was being mean. Not we, I mean, people liked that somebody was being mean to someone else. Like, they loved it, right? It's such a low vibration. It's such a low frequency, right?
Yeah.
And that kind of thing. It's like it's everywhere. They've made it so we think that's who we are, but that's dehumanizing as well. So we got to change it. That's all.
Yep. We do. Well, we are. Yeah, and it's well underway. I guess tomorrow is going to be pretty interesting to see how far we've made it. So um, we'll have a.
Yeah, yeah. We'll see. Um, we'll see how things play out. You know, I I mean, we'll see if it goes down tomorrow. Might get pushed back to Friday or something. Who knows? But you know, there's there's a lot of things that Kim has told me over time that I see playing out now, and I'm just amazed at how they how it's like, oh, you told me this was going to happen, but I didn't understand the context at the time. It didn't make sense, and now I'm like, oh, this is happening right now, right? So like right now we're going through all these things, and it can just be, it can really be this easy. It can be this simple if they just do the right thing, right? If the right thing is done right now, and they show up and do things the right way, they have the right terminal, they allow the right, just do the right thing right now. Humanity depends on it. You are in the seventh stage, and the next stage of genocide is mass murders, right? This is ready to go. They ordered guillotines and all types of horrifying things to do away with massive numbers of people. We need leaders who are going to stand up for the people, because the next stage is not going to be genocide. The next stage is going to be revolution. So either this goes down and our military steps up to do their job and infiltrates and make sure project funds go through. And militaries around the world remember that they are the people too, and we all stand together, and we stand as a united front and just hold the line. And that's all we got to do. And I'll tell you what, this whole thing has been a frequency and a cyber war, and we are winning. We are winning. And Dan, I would normally never say this on air, but I'm going to tell you, and everybody else listening.
Okay. Well, I'll keep it quiet. Shh.
Yeah, just keep this between us and anybody you want to share it with. But you know, about I don't even know, maybe 8 months ago, I had this deep meditation, and I really wanted to understand source. Right? Like what is God? I really want it's lifelong mission. And this is the only experience I ever had where I was brought in directly in that space with source. And he told me two things. He told me, you, as in the people, are the highest court in the land. And he told me, finish them off. Those are two things. Those are my two messages from God. And I'm not talking about some kind of genocidal activity or going out and doing something violent, but there is something to be said about humanity is the governing court on this planet. Period. And there is a higher court that every one of these galactic or galactic infected beings, these violent dark galactics who are trying to exterminate humanity, they do have to answer to the people. They do. And now in this current situation, how would that even be possible? I don't know. But the other part was to finish them off. Right now, there has to be a completion to their reign, and this is the end of it. Right, and it's the beginning of the age of humanity. It's the beginning of the creative age. Right, this is a creative age
Indeed.
more than an industrial age or anything else. So that they have to be finished off from that standpoint of they can no longer have those positions. And that starts with, well, hopefully it starts with Fiji.
Indeed.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, I just want to say a few things. After you guys have done the discussion, just on that point that what uh, Tank has just talked about, the all these different authorities that exist in the future, which are just the galactics. The authority, it's they used to come to this timeline to come and have authority over this timeline, and now it has changed. Every human being on the planet right now will have will have to be sovereign to be able to control over the time that they live in right now. So this is what this is why the trust, this is why money, and this is why all this.
She's just expressing her sovereignty.
Yeah. This is just like what Tank has said. Because the difference between us and the galactics, there is no difference. They're just us from the future. That's what they're supposed to be. They just came to help, and once they understand now that we don't need that, we can stand on our own, we can heal this planet on our own. They will have to go because what we choose now affects them in the future. So that's why it's a big deal to them. That's why they come here. So we've grown for thousands of years now. From a baby now, the human collective has grown to become independent and to be sovereign on its own. And all these lessons that we've been learning for all these thousands of years, it's already all come to this point in time that we are expressing this sovereignty. And that's what the ZA and the RA Confederacy Agreement is, and how people have just to it's time to realize that we are sons and daughters of the living God. We're just like the angels, and they are just us. We're not different. This is just them realizing who they truly are, and then finding our way back to the source that is within us. So once we can fully understand this and look within, it's not once people see that it's not a metaphor, it's not a parable when I say looking within. It means what it says. So that's why the CFC and Fiji will be doing that as a physical project to move around and help people and guide them to themselves. We're not going to teach them a new thing. It's going to show them the way to the kingdom of heaven, which is within everyone. And just by meeting, just by recognizing each other, they will just see it by themselves, and they'll be able to change the outside world. Because if you look at it really deeply, it's the outside world, the three-dimensional illusion that we all have created and valued so much so for so long. It's just existing within us. There's no separation. There's no America. There's no Fiji. There's no words. There's no all these different separation on all these visas and all the processes and all this. These are just within the human collective mind. So we have to stand up and realize this. And this is what it means to be. I was talking with the people from Denmark, and they've invited me to talk about sovereignty. And I told, I wanted to ask them a question: what it means to be sovereign, what it means to be fifth dimensional, what it means to be realizing that everything comes from within you, what it means to be the manna, what it means to be understanding the fifth element, and they all mean the same. Fifth dimension and the mana and all this, it just simply means that your own realization and reconnect yourself to the source that is in. Sometimes when we talk about it, it's a parable because, like I said, it's not a communication thing. This is what the Bible says: when the word becomes flesh, and that's when, because when everything you say is us, and it's no longer, it's no, if you try to explain it in words, uh, you will just lose the context, and you will get lost outside of the self. And that's what that's what the Ten Commandment is talking. It's not talking about anything outside. It's talking about you. It's talking about you, awareness within you. If you read the Ten Commandments in the true context, that's why you can speak, or you can talk, or you can say the name of God, because if you say it, it's going out. And if you, that's why when the Jews and the Hebrews, when they read the word yod ved hot ved, they don't read it. They keep quiet because it's in them. It's them. There's no separation. They are the water. They are the flesh. They are the flesh, which is the land. They are the air, which is the way they breathe. They are the sun, which is it's the life force that is burning within you, and then you have to metabolize your body. So you are the unity of these four elements, and out of these four elements, with that unity, you are alive. You have the fifth element, which is the realization and the awareness about everything else around you, and the awareness about where you come from, and all this. You might get lost, looking for God outside. But it's time for you to realize, the Tower of Bab El, which is Bab El, which is the gateway to God, or the Elohim, Bab Elohim. The gateway to God is in you. It's not outside. And this is what the Bible is: Bible, Bab El. People so think that the Bible is the gateway to God, but they don't understand that without them, you can activate the knowledge, the awareness that is in the Bible, the ideas, the prophecies, the history, the knowledge of everything. So they can, they once they understand this, their mind will be free, because they'll understand that they are the source of that awareness. They are reading it, and all the stories in the Bible exist within them by reading and expressing it. And that's what we truly are. We're just expression of that creative force that we create. And just thousands of years now that we've been lost in our own creation. It's now we have to just realize that you are the one creating everything around you. And so the the process of doing that, to actually accelerate this, that's what the trust needs. I've heard Thomas talk about, sometimes he talk about, the trust going shut down, or going duck. And I said, that's why you need us, everyone else in the planet, because they won't be able to do it alone. We will be the value to, or will add the value to the sovereignty that they have. We will recognize each other, and we will be sovereign together. And that's the symbol of what we're going to be doing tomorrow. And this sovereignty it's just from one source to another, from one connection to God to another connection to God. and we'll be able to recreate the future as soon as other people see the same thing. And that's that's why there's no motivate like what I'm doing here in Fiji. No one motivates me. It's I was born with it. I've already said this. It's nobody, not even anyone, taught me how to do this. Oh, oh, Sambok.
No, we're here to do it. Let's, yeah, Tui. No more Tui.
No more to it. Well, I trust he said exactly what he meant to say.
It's a mic drop.
Yep, he's right. This comes down to accessing, you know, the uh, the quantum reality in all of us. Shilea says this to me all the time that there is no, technology outside of us. Hello.
Hmm.
Oh, sorry.
Interesting. Oh,
There is no technology outside of us that is stronger or more quantum than the biotechnology that exists within us. There's nothing. So anybody who's out there hoping and wishing and looking to access the quantum system, hoping to have funds released, look within, because you know we are the ones that are sculpting the reality, and if we embrace that responsibility, I believe we can change everything today. So
sorry, I muted myself there. Uh, I just wanted to check. Doris called me, and I thought maybe because Tui disappeared, I just wondered, why was she calling me right now? I thought maybe you noticed we were knocked off the air or something, but no, she just mistakenly called me.
yeah, that's the mind game they play on us, right?
But
Never shows we're on
sometimes the
air.
rose is just a rose,
Yeah,
so it's
sometimes
not
the
a
rose is just a
conspiracy.
rose. Yep,
So
that's good. Well, I'm
I think
satisfied,
we're
Dan.
good.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it was
we're
good.
good.
Good
let's
talk.
let's, let's call it a show, and then we'll come back tomorrow and see where Tui is with things. I don't know. Maybe we'll have to plan the timing, or maybe do it after he's done. I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe I'll send him a message and see
Well,
about
yeah,
timing.
I'm gonna do my best to be in touch with them as early as possible to make sure. And as it goes down, I'm hoping I already know. So, all right. Well, hey, onward and upward. Let's go change the world. I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you tomorrow. It'll be exciting.